was fun. I hope you feel delighted by playing together, quite literally playing together, which is our sacred work this month in our Play and Pleasure series. But I want to talk about the practice of delight today, in contrast to practices we engage in all the time. So I want you to think about practices, things that you get into on a regular basis in your life, on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you get into phone time. Anybody spend a lot of time on their phone? Scrollers? Do I have some scrollers in the house? We practice scrolling. How about my folks who spend a lot of time with self-criticism? Yeah, a lot of that chatty Cathy in your head that tells you all kinds of untrue, awful things on a regular basis. We practice negative self-talk. How many of us practice busyness? Yeah, overscheduled? Your calendar's super full, can't keep track of yourself, overbooking yourself, double booking? Yeah. And the things that we practice, what happens? We get good at it. We get really good at the things that we practice. So what happens when we practice delight? We get good at it. I want to share with you from a book by Ross Gay called The Book of Delights. And he talked in the opening about how this book came to be. He said, first I came up with a handful of rules. I'm going to write a delight every day for a year. I'm going to begin and end on my birthday, which was August 1st for him. He's going to draft them quickly and write them by hand. The rules made it a discipline for me, he says, a practice. Spend time thinking and writing about delight every day. It didn't take me long to learn that the discipline or practice of writing these essays occasioned a kind of delight radar. Maybe it was more like the development of a delight muscle, something that implies that the more you study delight, the more delight there is to study. The more we put our attention on the delight, on the play, the more of it there is in our lives, in our consciousness. But it's a practice. We might have to actually set aside some of these other practices that we're giving our time and attention to. Much like the practice of Sabbath, which you know that's another practice that we teach here. And Sabbath is often translated in the Hebrew language to stop. It doesn't even actually mean to rest. It means to stop in direct translation. Maybe stop scrolling. Stop the negative self-talk. Stop the busyness, the hustle, the grind. But another translation is delight. In Dan Allende's book on the Sabbath, he says, the Sabbath is the occasion to feast, to dance, to make love, to enjoy your people. That this too is the sacred practice of being with God. And that in the Jewish tradition, they are mandated to take one day a week, every week, to do just that. To stop and delight. I think we've added the rest piece because for most of us, stopping makes an opportunity for rest. And in a culture that is dependent on our hustle and grind and productivity, rest is a radical and worthy activity. But the actual sacred practice is to stop and delight. To stop and take time, a whole day of your week, to bring your attention to the goodness of the divine. The loveliness of your aliveness. All of the possibilities that the divine had in mind when you were created and these bodies built for pleasure and joy. And that when we practice that, there is more of it to notice. How do we know, as metaphysicians, those of us who practice metaphysics, what do we know about where we put our attention? It grows. So practice is not just about having a discipline around your spiritual life. Practice is for you to grow and expand the good that is God, that is your divine nature, and to grow and expand your experience of this truth. To stop the things that are narrowing your experience. To stop the talk in your mind, the talk in your relationships, the ways of being, the habits that you may have gotten entrenched in that shrink your divine nature, your holy wholeness. And then delight. Fill those spaces with things that bring you joy. Fill those spaces with the kinds of people who are a delight to be with. This is a spiritual practice. This is the way the world we want to be living in comes into form. I guarantee you the world you want to be living in does not come from this, and I can't look, la, 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 la. The world we want to be living in comes from your expansive consciousness. You, totally powered by the goodness that is God, that gets to come into the manifest form through your living, through our living, right? The vibration that you all just created through playing together is building blocks for the future good we all want to see come into being in the crumbling nature of what is currently our world. So many of us think maybe it's like somehow inappropriate to focus on joy and play and pleasure in this moment in history. And I am offering that if you want to build a world that is full of joy and possibility and enoughness for all creatures and beings, it has to come from that very same idea. When we are freaking out in lack and fear and restriction and division and polarization, that is all that we can contribute. But the divine has a message for you when you do the stopping. It's waiting right there in that empty space to say, my love, I brought you here with a divine appointment to bring to life the beauty and wonder and curiosity and a possibility that can only come through you. So when you put down the burden and stop trying to carry this manufactured weight, this synthetic nothingness that culture has handed you, when you put it down and stop, this voice, this possibility, this love that is pointing you toward your own divinity, that says, you are here on purpose to be the love that you have been perfectly and uniquely designed to be. And in that spaciousness, in that stillness, in that place where you have made room for something other than scrolling and busy and freaking out and fear and division and complaint and worry, you open this spaciousness for this message of your literal birth. We all came here under this same appointment. You have been designed by divine appointment to be here. And what it is for you to delight in and be lit up by and fulfilled in becomes your contribution to the greater good. Becomes the expression of God that can only be expressed through you as you're living. That is the very thing that the world, that your neighborhood, that your relationships, that your workplace, that your family, that your beloveds need from you. But it requires practice to stop and delight. To find yourself so filled, so enthusiastic with whatever has you lit up, that you have no choice but to offer it and share it and give it. This delight is in you to be released. But it requires something that I think is one of the best parts of it, is presence. In order to delight, we have to be present in our bodies, in our lives, because you can't experience delight without feeling, right? We practiced that a little bit last week. Delight is a feeling. It's not a thought. So in order to delight as a spiritual practice, you have to be in your body and be present in order to even figure out what delight feels like in your body. And what are the circumstances that offer you delight? I was stepping outside of my door the other day, specifically to yell at my mother. And I opened my door, and there were like 5 goldfinches and 3 or 4 dragonflies popping about the garden, drinking from the fountain that my dear mother made for us this year. And I just was stopped in my tracks, delighting in this incredible moment. And the birds were like, "She caught us, hurry!" Because I had never seen that many birds in the fountain. The fountain's new to our garden this year. And it was just this magical moment, like I had tripped into a secret fairyland in my own yard. But had I been intent on yelling at my mom, I would have missed my moment of delight. It requires us to be present or we miss it. It requires us to move at a pace that we can be caught unaware by delights that are unfolding all around us all the time. This possibility is always available. But we have to decide, we have to have the intention to put our attention on delight, on pleasure, on play. And one of the ways we get to do that is through play. And I want to share with you the Latin definition of play. That is actually the word lila. Oh, I'm lying. It's not Latin. It's Sanskrit. And it means to play. But it's a richer idea than we have come to understand it. It means the play of creation, destruction and recreation, the folding and unfolding of the cosmos. Lila is both the delight and enjoyment of this moment and the play of God. We have outgrown playing. Many of us just like grew out of it somehow. We grew into the cultural expectation of adulting, right? We grew into this cultural expectation of acting right and being who you're supposed to be out in the world and wearing the right things and not being too loud, not being obnoxious. I cannot tell you the number of classrooms I got kicked out of because I was obnoxious, over exuberant. right? It got educated out of me. And we've all been shaped by culture to be less exuberant, right? To be less playful, that's somehow not appropriate or grown up. Except we miss this incredible opportunity through playing, like this moment you all had together now, of listening to one another, making connection by playing these drums, let me get in the rhythm of my neighbor and see what we can create together. Oh, we're about to get loud and raucous. Yes! This play creates the possibility for us to deepen connection, to be courageously vulnerable through joy. Anybody want to sign up for learning through joy rather than suffering? Right? Anybody? That's what becomes possible when we play together. This vulnerability that opens up a space for us to create. Right? Do you remember as kids being on the playground and being like, okay, I'm going to be the blue one, you be the red one, go! And nobody argued about it. We didn't overthink it. Like, you can't be blue and I can be red. And then, no, that didn't happen. It was like, okay, there's a mountain over there, and now we're going to go climb it. Go! We just played and created whole worlds. Without reservation, without overthinking, without determining the righteousness of it and the appropriateness of it. And those relationships built trust, right? You knew who the friend was who could play really well, right? You knew who the friend was that if you jumped up on the thing, they would be right there if you fell, and they would go get your mom. We built trust through this play. Connection. We built worlds. That's what Lila means. The folding and unfolding of God as the cosmos, as the world we share together. It is a sacred thing to get into the play of collective joy, to open up possibilities that we would not have maybe even noticed had we not come together in this joyful way. So that's your homework. Get together with some folks and play. Get courageous in your play and your willingness to be awkward and not good at a thing and look silly. And see what God has in store for you. Notice what it feels like in your body to be present to the joy that wants to just explode out of you and build whole worlds. The future we want to be living in erupts from this place. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, said, love points the way. Law makes the way happen. So your joy, your practice of noticing delight, your practice of moving at a pace that allows you to see the beauty and wonder and awesomeness of aliveness is love itself, revealing itself to you, saying, look over here. Here's where you get lit up. Here's how you become so turned on by life that you are at your most powerful. This is how we want to manifest the greater good in our own lives and in the collective good. May it be so.
So I'm happy to be with you. It's good to see you. So let's take a deep breath. Just take in a air into your whole being and just let it out slowly. And let's do that again. Deep breath. And release. And I know that breath is the divine within. myself within you. That divine life that surges through us, giving us ideas, giving us energy, giving us peace, giving us the wanting to be with each other in community. And I know that that life is precious. And I am grateful that we come together to share that life with each other in community. And today we get to play, we get to drum, and we get to see the divine in action in each of us. And we get to see it in ourselves and just delight in that. And so I open the space for joy, for drumming, for looking into each other's eyes and knowing that that is the divine, you are the divine, I am the divine, and we are one. And so with another deep breath, we just let go, give great gratitude, and begin. And so it is.
May delight find you in unexpected places. May laughter soften what has grown hard within you. May beauty awaken your imagination. May play remind you that your worth has never been measured by your productivity. May this month strengthen you in the undoing of all that no longer serves your life or the life of our world. And may the joy we cultivate together lift us all towards the liberated life we were created to share. And so it is.